Hats off to entrepreneurs. You bring value to our community by creating jobs and building wealth. Aspire Enterprise of Florida is your premier one-stop resource for strategic business coaching, business trainings, and business services. Our elite team of business professionals have over 30 years of expertise to serve small business owners, not-for-profit organizations, and individuals. Aspire Enterprise, where your needs are our priority.
Hi, Palm Bay. I'm Rob Medina, your candidate for mayor. With your support, when elected, we will immediately move forward to take the necessary actions to restore transparency, to restore accountability, responsibility, and the respect of our beloved city. It's evident through recent audit findings and oversights meeting in Tallahassee that our city has engaged in financial decisions that clearly have put our citizens and our financial stability at risk. The headlines of our city once promoted a city that cares, finalists for a City of the Year, and a community with a great future. Now, today, the headlines promote our city as one with escalating crime, an interchange to nowhere, mismanagement, state-imposed audits, and playgrounds closing due to equipment being unsafe. We must stop this downward spiral of our once financial secured, beautiful community. We drive through flooded roads, potholes, and traffic jams. I pledge to you as your next mayor, I will shine light on these past budgets along with the poor decisions made so we can get the answers our citizens deserve and our state leaders demand. I encourage a forensic audit of all our city operations so we can bring all these things to light. This process will not be easy, but our future and that of our children depend on each and every one of us, ensuring accountability, ensuring professionalism, immediately replacing finger pointing, mismanagement, the rubber stamp process that brought this audit upon us. There are many serious questions. The business and residents of our cities deserve a government that they can trust and believe in. It is important to address these issues head on, for they've made a target of ridicule and skepticism from our surrounding neighbors and our very own residents. This will require strong leadership, transparent and sensible policy decisions, and constant commitment to ethical conduct. As mayor, my first goal will be to restore trust in our government. Government for the people, by the people. This is truly an opportunity for leadership by example. And as your mayor, I'll pledge to you that if I vote to approve a contract with a company to do business with our city, I will prohibit myself from receiving any future campaign funds from that said company. And I will encourage our council members to do the same. I believe as elected officials, we're held to a higher standard. The citizens of Palm Bay will be my only priority. We will address the many concerns of the finding of the state audit and encourage the open participation of our residents to provide oversight in our budget process. Hashtag the public trust. For a better Palm Bay, elect Rob Medina. May God bless you. May God continue to bless this great city we call Palm Bay. Hoorah! Hoorah!
For nearly 60 years, most politicians running for office in Palm Bay promised to fix the city's failing roads. In 2017, armed with a plan, Thomas Gaume and a small team of residents set out to accomplish this enormous task.
The need for alternate paths that are smoother than the roads, and the term grassfault will soon be a distant memory.
Tom believes in duplicating success. He started by visiting Northport, Florida, a GDC community exactly half the size of Palm Bay. Northport successfully fixed their roads with a road bond referendum, and Tom made several trips to Northport to fully understand the process.
In the 2018 election, 66% of Palm Bay voters approved a $150 million bond referendum. Now we're turning our failed roads into an economic engine to diversify our tax base and lure commercial businesses,
while at the same time looking out for the environment and the delicate ecosystem we call home.
That's what sets Thomas Gaume apart. He solves problems by creating teams of citizens to conquer even the most difficult issues. You might say that Tom is the man with a plan. Vote Thomas Gaume for Palm Bay City Council Seat 3 on November 3rd. For your family, your property, and our future.
Approved and paid for by Thomas Gaume for Palm Bay City Council Seat 3 nonpartisan.
Who am I? I'm someone that believes in community and that dedicates hundreds of hours every year to serving the people of Brevard. Who am I? I'm a scholar that supports and believes in education, that donates countless dollars and hours to helping scholars learn, grow, and be better for our future. Who am I? I'm an advocate that stands up for those who can't stand up for themselves and that protects and defends the Constitution every single day. I'm Alton Edmond, and I'm running for Brevard County Sheriff. It's time for change.
Hello, Palm Bay. Randy Foster, candidate for Palm Bay City Council Seat 3. This political advertisement is approved and paid for by Randy Foster, candidate for Palm Bay City Council Seat 3. Public safety is important. As a councilman, that should be the #1 priority when you come in office, public safety. And the people who provide that safety, who serve and protect, is Palm Bay Police Department and Palm Bay Fire Department. I went through a 2-hour process for each interview for an endorsement with Palm Bay Police and the Fire Department. The Palm Bay Fraternal Order Police, Lodge 111, endorsed me. Also, Palm Bay Fire Department endorsed me for the City Council Seat 3. My opponent decided not to go in front of them. He decided to go to the Space Coast Association of Realtors. Has nothing to do with public safety, and none of them probably works in Palm Bay. But I would have took the time out if I was him, and here are the men and women that serves and protect and keep you safe at home. So remember this when you go to the polls in November. If your brother, your sister, your uncle, your father, your cousin, your friend is a police officer in Palm Bay or a firefighter, my opponent don't care what they're going through as a candidate running for office. I do. That's why they endorse me. Thank you, Palm Bay. And remember, I'm the only one with law enforcement experience and a history of providing safety throughout the public, throughout these United States. Vote randyfoster.com. Vote for Randy Foster, a true leader. Thank you.
A Christian, husband, father, long-term Palm Bay resident, small business owner, real estate investor, builder, humanitarian, has served as executive board member of multiple local non-profit organizations. He's currently serving on the City of Palm Bay Planning and Zoning Board and also the vice chairman of the Palm Bay Park and Recreation Advisory Board. He's experienced in city affairs and ready to go on day one. That's Donnie Felix. He stands for transparency, a strong infrastructure, supporting city staff, first responders, fire and police, diverse and affordable housing, small businesses and good-paying jobs, economic growth and sustainability for Palm Bay, and also a healthy environment for integrity, diversity, and service. Vote for Donnie Felix for Palm Bay City Council C2.
My name is Donnie J. Felix, and I approve this message.
Hello, Palm Bay. I am Kay Mirage, and I'm running to be your next mayor. I currently sit on the Planning and Zoning Board, as well as our Community Development Advisory Board. I'm a mom, I'm a small business owner, and I've been married to my husband at Linville for 19 years. And together we have an amazing 17-year-old son who's about to head off to college. Palm Bay needs fresh, bold leadership, one who is an embracer of change, diversity, and inclusion, who is proactive and thinks outside the box. They need to be free from conflicts of interest and owes no favors to the who's who. Our next mayor should be informed and have a true understanding of the issues and be ready with plans to help solve them. They must be open to have dialogue with you and empathize with your concerns. I am that leader. I'm ready to work with council to earn back public trust, bring transparency and accountability to all levels of city government. I am your voice, and I'm that unifying force that is ready to guide our city towards smart growth and a very successful future. For more information, visit palmbayk.com. Vote K Mirage for Palm Bay Mayor. K is the right choice for Palm Bay. I'm K Mirage, and I approve this message.
Hi, good day, Palm Bay. And this is an early start to our interviews today. We have a 4 o'clock appointment with Mr. Tobia, and then an 8 o'clock appointment with Mr. Phil Moore. So tonight, this afternoon rather, I'm having Mr. Tobia in the studio with me. I'm going to bring him on the line. Welcome, sir.
Welcome. Thanks for having me.
Awesome. Yeah, feedback. Trying to mitigate that and see what's going on. All right. Hold on a second. I'm not sure if that's coming from your end. Do you have a phone on or something?
There's no phone on here.
Okay. Let's see.
I'm not getting any feedback.
Okay. Let's see if we can go through it. Welcome to the show. And please go ahead and introduce yourself to the public so that everybody can know who you are.
My name is John Tobia. I'm the County Commissioner from District 3.
And sir, do you believe we're gonna get started with the questions? I'm not sure why I'm getting the feedback, but I am. Anyways, let's keep going. Do you believe that all Americans should have important constitutional rights? That's my first line of question. And again, welcome to the program, and I'm glad to have you here. And I'm glad you decided to take this interview.
Well, thanks for having me. I'm sorry I didn't either.
Didn't get a question.
Understand your question. Something about First Amendment. What was it?
Okay, awesome. Do you believe that all Americans should have be afforded constitutional rights? Can you hear it? There's a feedback.
Should all Americans be afforded the constitutional right?
Yes, sir. Hold on, there's some feedback with this.
You do understand I'm running for the county commission?
Yeah.
Yeah, not a judge.
Hold on 1 second.
Federal office. Sure. First Amendment rights, freedom of speech, religion and expression are all very important.
Awesome. I am getting some feedback and I'm trying to fix it on my end. I'm sorry for that. All right. I'm going to try to mitigate this as much as possible. I know we're running late. There's a question from the public. Some of these questions are coming from the public, and they're coming from me as well. So let me do this program so you can understand if the public also sending questions to be asked, so they're not necessarily also from me. And so that I want to make that clear. I'm not sure if you're familiar with the program and how it's set up.
This is my first time with it.
Okay, great. Thank you. Let's try to get to some of these. Let's jump right into Palm us on the dais, and you probably know about what's going on in the city. We're going to talk about the recent bribery charges in regards to the plantation circle. I'm pretty sure you heard about it in the news. And you had appointed Mr. PK Peanut to be on the Tourism Development Council. And so we're asking, how do you feel about the allegations as it stands right now?
Well, it's extremely unfortunate. I have more than 30 appointees on various boards. Mr. PK stepped down, and I appreciated that. He certainly has not been charged. It was unfortunate what I read about. Hopefully much of it wasn't true, but we'll find another appointee who's involved in tourism and move forward.
Okay. All right. So I understand you support the resignation. In 2019, you brought around the civility pledge. You were trying to get that passed on the dais. Is this something that you think you would revisit in the future?
It didn't have support, and that's unfortunate. However, I think the tone and the tenor of the commission has changed quite a bit, and people have become intrinsically a little bit more civil. Certainly has not come from my seat, and I appreciate the folks that get up there and feel comfortable to speak. I think it should be a safe environment, and I hope it continues to be that way.
Awesome. Let's talk about community involvement. A question came in from the community. They say that you have a history of voting against programs that aid underprivileged communities. Is that true? Is that a true statement?
A history of voting against underprivileged communities?
Yes, that's a question from the community.
I'd be certainly more than willing to talk about any of my votes. I'm a fiscal conservative who believes that money is best held in people's hands instead of that of the government. So my goal is to give folks the freedom to spend their money instead of hand it to the government and us waste it. So again, I'd be more than willing to talk about any vote in particular, but like I said, my main focus is fiscal conservatism.
Awesome, sir. Thank you for the answer. Let's talk about the Children's Service Council. What's your stance on that, sir, as a whole? This Children's Service Council.
Well, the Children's Service Council had been around quite a long time. They had never come up with a formative plan in order to have a measurable result. They got new leadership. They decided they wanted to institute a rather large tax, a millage rate increase, and we were going through some tough times. People currently are struggling, and I did not think that it was in the best interest to tax people more at this time, and especially with a program that didn't have a viable plan how to spend those resources. So while I have and had no issue with the Children's Service Council, I certainly didn't think they were deserving of a line item or a taxable amount of value.
Okay. All right. Thank you for the answer. All right, sir. I've watched you over the years, and I really appreciate what you do on the dais. But I have a question, though, in regards to the CRAs. What's your stance on CRAs? Do you believe they should be funded? Not because we see some contentions on the dais sometimes when it comes to CRAs.
Yeah, again, I'm extremely conservative, and I think that when the county collects those resources, the county should be responsible for spending those resources. Because if they're not spent in a proper way, then citizens have the ability to unelect the officials in a 4-year period. What a CRA does is take taxable income that the county has collected and hand it over to a many times unelected body. And unfortunately, many times these organizations flat out waste money. Unfortunately, we have people in our community who don't have a place to stay, who do not have food, and yet CRAs are spending tax dollars on palm trees, on signs. A CRA even had the bright idea to paint a road with a mural. I cannot justify this type of expenditure when we have folks that don't have the resources to eat. So I'm strongly against the mismanagement that CRAs have shown time in and time out. So if the city wants to spend the money that way, more power to them. I don't think they should have the right to county tax dollars, especially the ways they waste them.
Okay. All right. Thank you for the answer, sir. Let's keep on moving. I'll talk about coronavirus, COVID-19. It's a hot button issue because we're going through this turbulent time right now with it. Why did you vote against the allocation of $4.4 million of the COVID funds? tell us about your vote. Why did you vote against it?
Well, first of all, it's $105 million that we received from the federal government.
Right.
4.4 million you were referring to was a food allocation. It was initially 4 million, then it got bumped to 4.4 million. I think you probably have your facts incorrect because that was one of the allocations that I did support.
Okay.
Was quite a bit that I did not support, however. There has been talk of handing tens of millions of dollars over to hospital systems who have received federal funding time in and time out. This money is borrowed from our kids and our grandkids. I think it's extremely unfair for us to spend this money willy-nilly and never have to repay it. It's, again, repaid by our kids and grandkids. So I think that unless it's dire need, and when I say dire need, I mean to put foods on table for people that need it. Open the Florida Today, open the USA Today. People are using these government PPP dollars to buy fancy cars, to buy shares in airplanes. That's not what the money was intended for, and I think it should be sent back to the federal government unless it is used for direct substance, such as food allocations for people that need it.
Okay, thank you for your answer, sir. All right, so how do you propose we then, what kind of interventions can we do as a county to make sure the dollars are adequately spent? I mean, is there something that we can do as a county?
We have a workshop on first or second week of November concerning the unallocated CARES dollars, of which there are in the neighborhood of 50 million. We spent $10 million on small business relief, $4 million, 4.4 on food assistance. We've used it for protective gear for not only county facilities, but many city facilities. But there's a great deal left. We're working within parameters set out by the federal government in ways that we can properly use it, because if we spend it outside those allocations, then taxpayers will be responsible to refund the federal government. So second week of November, more than willing to show up to a meeting. There's a lot of money out there, and almost half of, again, the $105 million still has not yet been spent.
Okay. All right, great. Good to know. So the public is aware now. All right. Mask mandate. There's some folks that are saying that, community question again, that you should advocate for a mask mandate. Tell us your rationale for that.
Sure. For the business allocation, there was about a $10 million allocation of CARES money. And there had to be a whole long litany of things that businesses met in order to get that a portion of that $10 million. I voted in favor of a mask mandate for businesses that took federal money, because the money was to help cure the wrongs of COVID, and a mask is something that is shown to help mitigate that situation. So I thought it was proper for us to mandate businesses that took that $10,000 to have masks as a requirement to enter those businesses. Unfortunately, there was only one other Chairman Lober, that supported me. So that went down by a vote to 2-3.
Okay. All right. Thank you, sir. Let's talk about the emergency management system. Do you believe that the emergency management system should be transferred, the operation of it should be transferred to Sheriff Wayne Ivey?
So the Emergency Operations Center is only about a $700,000 department. It has less than 10 employees and sits dormant largely unless there is a event. Now, those events happen quite a bit in Brevard County, everything from a launch to a wind event to, unfortunately, this pandemic. So that kicks in, so does federal and state money, and it becomes a multi-million-dollar enterprise. I believe the commission was ready to hand over the day-to-day operations, the $700,000 to the sheriff, and he was looking for the larger piece of it, the emergency aspects of it. Currently, he is putting together a plan, and he will present that to the commission as to the economic feasibility of that. So there are certainly a lot of questions out there. We voiced them to the sheriff, and I think it's proper to give him an opportunity to answer those questions to see if it is something that he wants to even go forward with. We haven't heard back from him in a couple months, but it just shows us he's doing his due diligence. So we eagerly look forward to the report that he's probably currently working on. I have an open mind, and we'll cross that bridge when we get his answers to the questions we put forth.
Okay, great. Thank you, sir. Infrastructure. What do you think we can do better as a county as far as infrastructure is concerned? I mean, we have concerns from the community about our roads. Can you address that?
Yeah, what we need to do is stop wasting money. And unfortunately, we do it time in and time out. We have a $50,000 grant for art in public places. Art is wonderful, but when you have potholes in roads, government should not probably be investing in art in buildings. We give thousands of dollars to dinosaur museums. We just appropriated almost $1 million for a 10-story flame, $1.2 million for an outside amphitheater. County wastes an unbelievable amount of funds, a $10 million aquarium. What we need to do is start prioritizing public safety and infrastructure and make sure we have a handle on that before we go to all these wants. These aren't necessarily bad things, but I have a hard time justifying spending tens of millions of dollars on fish when we have people that don't have the resources to eat.
Okay. All right. Waste management contract was another concern from the community. They think that the contract, they're paying too much now. So let's talk about that for a second. Do you think you're okay with the new contract that was put in place?
No, I voted against the contract, the 39% increase. It was initially competitively bid. There were two parts to it. There was both a commercial and a residential portion. There is nothing prohibiting us from having one service doing commercial and one doing residential. The board, however, by a vote of 4-1, me being the lone nay, wanted both of the accounts held by one organization, which ended up to be Waste Management. When Waste Management knew they had both parts, then they had the ability to drive up both of the commercial as well as the residential. Now, I'm not going to fib, it would have gone up. However, I would tell you it would not gone up anywhere near 39%. However, had we told Waste Management, give us your best price for either one. But when we sent our negotiating team in and said, we're going to give it to only one organization, it put the other bidders at a severe disadvantage. A couple of them couldn't handle both the commercial and the residential, but they can handle one or the other. And again, I don't have any problem with two different types of trash vehicles out on our roads if it's going to save taxpayers money. So for that reason, I strongly voted against it.
Okay. All right. There you go. Community got the answer. All right. Thank you, sir, for that. Let's talk about the Blue Origin project.
Sure.
Can you talk about your efforts in having Blue Origin refund the $8 million in cash incentives? And why are you asking for this?
Well, first of all, it wasn't incentives. It was just $8 million. Okay. County residents handed over or are in the process of handing $8 million over to a company owned by the richest man in the entire world. It's prime day right now. He's probably worth in the neighborhood, the last time I checked, between 160 and $180 billion. $8 billion to Mr. Bezos is what he finds in the cushion of his car seat. However, That is real money to taxpayers in Brevard County. And for us to provide $8 million to his corporation and then him pave 17 acres of wetlands that is going to shove hundreds or thousands of gallons of water per minute on North Merritt Island, it just seems like an affront. So was it legal? Yes. Is it immoral? In my opinion, it is. And for that reason, I thought it was in our best interest to ask for that $8 million back so we could help the folks that were impacted by that additional water that was going to be on their front yard.
Okay, great. Thank you so much. Let's talk about the Indian River Lagoon. Do you think we're doing a good job of managing what's going on in the River Lagoon?
I think we're doing probably as well as we can. We have a citizens oversight committee that makes recommendations based on science, and working within the parameters set forth by the federal and the state government, I think we have made steps in the right direction. Now, this is not a 4-year project. In likelihood, scientists are telling us this is a 20 or 25-year project. But we have outlawed to the fullest extent we have the ability biosolids being spread on our properties that lead into the bodies of water to increase the nutrients of phosphates and nitrogens. We have eliminated a large amount of septic tanks in areas that didn't have sewer. We have said regular septic tanks will not work. We need to have anaerobic or advanced septic tanks. We have done in the neighborhood of $50 million in dredging. So we've certainly taken some good steps. However, there is a long way to go. If we get this solved in 20 years, that will be very positive, because this took 50 or 60 years to cause the problem. If it takes a fraction of that to fix it, it's probably a wise investment.
Okay. All right. Great. Thank you so much, sir. Here is you can probably give it a backstory on this. There's a back and forth that's going on between Sheriff Ivy's office and Scott Ellis. Something about withholding of $850,000. Can you enlighten us what's going on there?
Well, Brevard County taxpayers voted for a cap on their taxes. 70% Republicans, Democrats, and Independents, unless the county commission decided that there was a quote-unquote critical need. We didn't define what a critical need was, and there were four. It needs to be 4/5 or a supermajority. The sheriff received 4/5 supermajority. I was the one dissenter on that one of an MSTU. He ended up with an additional $800,000 in the last budget. Now, this is pretty legal, but what happened was pretty technical. I apologize. The sheriff believes that $800,000 sets his new baseline. Scott Ellis sued and said, no, your new baseline is not that $800,000 increase. It's what it was prior to that critical need. It went to court, and a judge said that Mr. Ellis did not have the ability to sue. He did not have standing. They did not talk about the merits of the case. They just said he did not have standing and thus could not sue. So my understanding is he's decided to go a different route and see if a different court will give him standing so they can look at the merits of the case.
Okay, great. All right. Let's see. I think this is the fastest interview I've ever done. I mean, we've pretty much exhausted and answered the questions that we have lined up here. let me ask you one last thing. I mean, because this is a community question. They're asking about Black Lives Matter movement. The question is, as a professor of political science, can you opine on the Black Lives Matter movement?
I think we live in a diverse community. Black lives certainly matter, as do Hispanic lives and female lives. It's extremely unfortunate what is happening to what looks like a disproportionate amount of folks of a minority population. There's no excuse for it. And if this movement is something that helps temper that, I wish all the best, because no one living in America, American or not, deserves to be treated differently than anyone else. It's unfortunate that that still happens in 2020. It's certainly unfortunate that happens in America in 2020. So I certainly support those folks' ability to stand up and say what is going on is wrong.
Thank you for that answer. All right, sir. I'm gonna, like I said, this is the fastest interview we ever done here on Palm Bay Live. It usually lasts an hour, but you're succinct in your answers, and so thank you for that. I'm gonna take myself away from the screen so you can appeal to the voters and tell them exactly why you think they should vote for you.
Well, thank you for giving me the time. I really appreciate your thought that goes into this election, because there's a great difference between my opponent and myself. While he is a wonderful individual, we certainly approach government quite differently. I tend to be a little bit more conservative when it comes to fiscal issues. Again, that money is better spent in your back pocket than government's back pocket. And it is that philosophy that I use to temper the decisions as I move forward. The issues will continue to be our environment, our infrastructure, and dealing with the ravages of COVID, so we can turn this economy around and make sure no one goes hungry. I really appreciate your time. My name is John Tobia, and I'd love to earn your support at the November election.
Thank you, Mr. Tobia, and thank you for joining us on Palm Bay Live, and I wish you best of luck in your election. And
thank you, sir.
Thank you.
Have a good one.
Have a good one. Bye-bye.